All right. Hello, everybody, once again to our Meet the Marketplace vendor, where we get to meet all sorts of interesting people from all over the world and find out more around how we can make more of the Atlassian toolset. So today I've got Eduardo from MindPro, who's going to tell us about a couple of apps around contract management. So thanks for joining us, Eduardo, from sunny Brazil yesterday.
Thank you, Michael. It's very nice to meet you guys. Yeah, we today we are here in a very sunny day in Brazil, so it's very nice to be here with you guys.
Oh, thanks for
From the
joining.
future, right? You are from the future now.
That's it. All right. So yeah, take it away. What can you tell us?
Okay, I'm gonna talk about MindPro, a quick overview of MindPro, and then we can talk about the apps that we have in the marketplace right now. Okay, just let me start. Can you see on the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so well, MindPro was founded in 2019, so it's a very recent company, right? We basically worked from other Atlassian vendors here in Brazil, one of the biggest Atlassian partners here in Brazil, and we have a combined experience with about 20 years of Atlassian ecosystem experience. So we work as consultants in the past, so we had a lot of this helped us a lot to understand the customers' needs, because when we were working with the customers, we were feeling their pain points. So this is why we decided to open the company and start focusing on the customer needs, right? We basically have today a team with around 5 fixed people, and sometimes we have other contractors working for us as well. But we started with two other guys. The other partner, the other guy which works with me, is also called Eduardo. So whenever we are talking to other people, they are saying, "Hey, what Eduardo are talking here?" But it's very funny when we join all the other calls when we have two Eduardos joining. And that's the way we started focusing on trying to help customers on relieving them from their pain points when they are addressing services with the Atlassian ecosystem. Basically, we have two products today. The newest one, we start by the newest one, which is the AD Connector. It works with Azure, Microsoft Azure. Basically, this app is focused on bringing information from the Active Directory to the Jira issues. So you can display, for example, information from some people there. If you want to work in a support team, for example, and need more information about the people which are opening the tickets, you can have this in your Jira issues by using this app. So basically, you can have a fast and safe synchronization of these attributes. We map these attributes from Azure to Jira custom fields. And this is good because it's a seamless integration. When you are opening the issue, you are not seeing other apps there, you are just seeing something like Jira. So it's very important for the users. And we are, of course, we are delivering more new features along the next release, which we are expecting to be online in next January, next month, with some other greatest features like connecting to other directories such as Okta and Jump Cloud and other configurations that we are making for this app. And the one that probably we'll be talking today is the service contract management. This one also was born from our experience dealing with customers which are dealing with service contracts in Jira. They do not have a way or other apps that are basically managing the service contracts in a way they can explore the accounts and distribute the work among different teams, and maybe having all of this integration in a single app. So this is what we are delivering with this service contract management. The value here is focused on delivering a service contract management where we can, for example, notify our customers whenever you have a contract exceeding its limits. For example, let's suppose that your contract will expire in 10 days You can advise you, your team, and the customer as well about this expiration, for example. So this avoids a lot of issues with the customer's customer, for example, when we are dealing with with dates and time, for example, or hours log. We have this ability to work with service fixed price contracts or time and materials. And also we have all the reports consuming this information in real time. So let me show you the app. When you install when you first install the app, you have this screen, which is addressing the user to start with the necessary resources to add your first contract. So basically, what the app does, it links the contracts, the service contracts, to teams and work logs. So whenever you log time in Jira, your team log time in Jira, this time will be consuming the planned work that you put in the contract. It's very common, for example, when you are delivering to a customer a service contract like a support services, for example, and you need to monitor the hours or the package of hours that you agree with this customer. You do not have in Jira how to control that, and that's why the app was born, to make this easier for the users to control that. So we have inside the app all the resources necessary to create the contracts, to monitor the contracts, taking the reports, and you also have other important modules such as cost tracking. For example, you can we have some cost tracking features where you can track all the costs and margins from the contracts. You have a timesheet module, so you don't need to buy another app for managing your timesheets, because the app does it for you inside itself. So the idea here is that we can combine a lot of different functionalities in a single app. So you don't need to buy other apps to manage all the contracts and services you have in Jira. So let me give you a quick example here. The app was designed to instruct the users on how to start correctly, right? So when you open the app, we have a tour, and if the user, for example, skip the tour, it will be directed to that screen where you can have the 4 steps to create your first contract. Let me give you a quick example. For example, let me create a first customer. Customer 1. Then I will create an account. The accounts work as a kind of cost center, right? If you work with other apps like Tempo, Timesheets, for example, or other apps, you should be familiar with that. But the accounts, in essence, are a cost center where you can separate or classify your services in different types. So let me create 2 different accounts here, and I will link that account to the customer. This account is billable, and I will now I can create the team for that. I can have many different teams. Let me put the leader of this team. Let me put a member in this team. It will be the same in this example. And you have now the ability to create your first contract. So you come here and you add the description. Let me suppose and here you can track all the things related to that. I will give you more examples later. I will explore more the other features. Here I'll just create a basic contract. I will select the customer, start and end dates. Let's suppose that we will finish in April. Contract value, if that was the case, if you want to monitor this. Here we can select the billing model, if this account is by hours or it's a fixed price one. Let's keep it in hours. You can also select a monthly recurrence. So every single month you'll be using the same values to track your services. and you simply add your hours for that contract. And then you have to now define how you bill, how you separate the services. So we have previously created the accounts. We add a billable account. In this case, it's billable, could be non-billable as well. If you have, you select the type or the service type. Let's suppose this is a consulting one, and you have your hours. If you have more than one team, you can split these hours in different teams to work in the services. If you do not have more than one team, if you have just one team to do that, you simply select the team here. Here, this is important because we know that when we are managing projects in Jira, we often have more than one team working for this. You can have, for example, one account for consulting and another account here for a project one, and you can have different teams working in these accounts. The system allows you to add up to 6 accounts, 6 different roles here, and split each role into up to 4 different teams. So you can basically do many different combinations to take that services and to provide that services to the customer. Then you just click on create the contract. We have the contract here. It's not activated yet, but you can activate it, and then it starts to be consumed. So it means that if you create an issue, for example, let me create an issue here from scratch. I will show you how the services are consumed. Let me create the issue. When you create your issue, you see this option here to add your account and contract to the issue that you're logging time for. So I think it's consulting, right? Consulting services, the billable account. I will save that, and now I can log work. And here is important. For example, this is something that I don't think that other apps in Marketplace do it, which is selecting the team for where you are logging the time for. Let's suppose that, as I said before, sometimes one person is working for 2 different teams in a single project. And when you are logging time, today in Jira, for example, you do not have how to select the team for that time is being logged. For example, I'm working 2 different teams. This work log is for team A, and the other work log should be for team B. Here with this app, we can do that. We can split this time, this work into different teams. Here, I just have one. I'll show you more later, but I can add my time. Let's suppose 8 hours. And that's it. So when you log your time, the system will also show the account progress. How many hours, how many percent of your hours for this account were actually logged. So let me log one more time here. Will be for the same. Let me select another date. 8 more hours. And now I have 2 different work logs. So basically, this is the enablement of the system, right? With these steps, you can add your research, add your contract, add your work logs, and start monitoring the progress of that services. For example, you can go here to the reports, and let's select, for example, the delivery report. You can select your customer, your account, your dates. I think December is okay. Let me pick January. And the system will give you the progress of your service. So you know that this contract has 500 hours contracted and 16 hours were executed. How is the distribution? I mean, if you have more than one team here, they will show all the teams involved on that. You can see how each one of those teams are participating on the execution of those services, right? And you have a billing summary. If you have billable and no billable hours, the system will show you here. In this case, I just have billable ones. And the issues involved on that. If you have many different issues, you can have as much issues as you can, as many issues as you can to log your services. And here you have all this information. So this is the basics of the app. Of course, you have other things like you can have your timesheet management, as I said. For example, you have your hours that we just logged. For example, you can edit the work logs. You can submit your timesheet for approval and approve those timesheets as well. Then you can manage all the hours from your team since the contract until the work log. So everything is covered in this app. So as I said, this is the basic flow for enabling you to manage your contracts. And the other things we have also notifications, where you can create a notification to allow not only the customers, but your team as well to be aware of the contract limits. So it's very common, for example, when you are contracting a service, and for example, let's suppose that you purchase a monthly 20 hours package of support hours, and you are almost reaching out this limit during the month. So it would be good to have a way to advise you and your customer that your contract is reaching out that limit, for example. So let's suppose that you have 20 hours and you say to the system to, hey, send me an email or send me a notification whenever the contract has, 20 hours remaining, or when I reach out 70% of my hours, or before 5 days of expiration. So before the contract expires, 5 days before the contract expires, you send me a notification as well. So all of these things you can do with the smart notifications that we call here. So you can create a notification and advise your customers, for example, here.
Yeah, that's really useful. I was going to say, the expiry date of the contract, and then, but to be able to put business rules around how you want to communicate, particularly when budget time low.
This is something very important because we had these cases in the past. For example, sometimes we have to send an invoice to the customer with more hours than he or she was expecting. This is not good for the relationship, right? So let's imagine the customer purchased 20 hours a month, and you are sending of course they are consuming that, they are using, and they use it more than 20 hours. Let's suppose they use it 24 hours, and you have to charge the customer for that hours, and you send the invoice to the customer and you send 24 hours instead of 20 hours. They will say to you, hey, look, why didn't you advise me before? I don't like this kind of approach, for example. And with these notifications, you avoid this kind of issues, because the customer will also be notified before the limits were exceeded, or before the things happen. So you can create, for example, for our contracts, and you define, for example, when X contracted hours remain, or better, before X days before the contract expires, and you define 10 days, for example, and you choose who to notify. And this is important. You can notify the team, the customer by email, the contract owner, or the person who has created the contract, or everybody. You add this rule, and that's okay. The good part here is that you can add up to 3 rules by notification set. This means that if you want to advise your customer 10 days before the contract expires, and again 5 days before the contract expires, you can do that. For example, I came here, and now I want to do that. Right. So I have 2 rules for this notification set. and the system will notify the customer and the team and the contract owner 10 days before, and again 5 days before the contract expires, right? So this is very important to keep control of your limits, and to help the customers on getting a certain control of their costs as well, right?
Yeah.
So when you create a contract, let me just back this to draft to do that again.
I like how
When
you can customize the notifications per contract as well, because yeah, some clients need to know 90 days before the contract expires, because it's got to go through a process.
Sorry?
I was just saying one of the things that I like is the customization from contract to contract, because some customers need 90 days warning of a contract expiry rather than 5 days or 10 days. So yeah, to be able to customize it like that.
Yeah, and when we created these notifications, we try to give something that the user defines how to notify the customer, right? Because we know that the process are different according to the company. So for your process, you would like to advise customers using the dates. Other guys would prefer to advise the customer using the hours that are remaining, for example. So there are many different things you can do here. And when you create your notification, you create your contract, you add your notification here, and just save your contract, and that's it. We also have a total control of the changes that are being created in this contract. For example, the history will show you everything that is being added to your contract, so you know who had changed the contract and when and what was changed. In this example, when we change the status of this contract to draft active or other different notifications. So everything is tracked here. So you have control of everything inside your flow, right? And let me give you other examples here. This one, for example, I have many different contracts here, and I can see the progress of each one of them. Some of them you can see that exceeded the hours, so the system will show you in the first screen, for example. Yeah, and when you click to view your contracts, you can see, as I said, you have different teams, you have different accounts. Let me pick one which we have more than one team involved. I think the Acme company has these ones. I think that is one example. I would like to show you how you do the things when you have more than one team involved in this case. For example, you have different. This is a fixed price contract, right? But you can also split among two different teams here. So, for example, as I said, when you are logging your time, let me do that in another issue. When you are logging your time, you are able to select the team for where you are adding your hours, and this will reflect in your reports later, right? For example, in this case, I have more data here to show you. You can track here and see different. Let me pick up other dates, more dates here, and more dates here, because I think this is a longer. This is another example. Here we have when you have more hours executed and contracted, the system will show you the chart will change, and the system will show you a bar chart instead of a donut chart, right? In this example here. So let's see this. You have 500 hours contracted, and you executed more than that. Of course, the system also blocks. There are options to block users from adding more time when the accounts are full, right? You can control that in the settings. You can simply come here and uncheck these options. And when you are trying to log time, when the hours are exceeded, the system will block you. And also when your timesheet is not open, the system also will block you for that. You can control access for every single module in the system. Just need to define the groups for accessing each one of those modules. So you can also have different teams working in different parts of the app at the same time. The cost tracking features, as I was showing before, you can add your work rates, and the work rates will be basically controlling the costs that you have for the contracts. So this is another thing that we do different from other apps, because when you log time, the system will identify the date that you are logging time and how many hours you are logging to select the right rate for that person. So for example, in this case, I'm defining for myself here. Let me see if I have three different work rates depending on the date, right? So depending on the date, starting from this date, I have this value for normal hours. I have a different value for extra time and different values for weekends and holidays. So when you are adding your reports for tracking the costs, you don't need to do any math manually or take your calculator for understanding, hey, how the time is costing, how is the cost for every single rate, because you know that depending on the country, depending on the regulations you have on your country, there are different fees for weekends and for holidays. So we are covering this here as well. And when you take the reports, let's suppose the margin per hour, for example, let me pick all contracts. You can, in this case, let me select just one, which is better. I think this is not the one that I want.
No, we want a high margin.
This is very negative. For example, this one, this customer, we have 4 different contracts, right? Where you have the values, you have the calculations, and depending on the date that you are placing here, the system will take into consideration the work logs and the rates that you add there with the effective dates. So you can track the costs. How is this contract is costing by this time? And the good thing is that you can detail that by team member. So you understand how each one of the team members are costing you. I mean, how much money each one of those team members represents in the context of this contract. So you have here, for example, that you can understand here that, for example, your average that you have contracted in the beginning when you create your contract would be $51 here. And in this case, you see that the actual value is 47. So you have a margin, a positive gross margin of 7%, 7.5%, for example. And you also can track by other perspectives. You can, for example, check the other reports that, like the margins per contract. That one was calculating by person. Here we can calculate by contract itself. So because you can have extra revenues and extra expenses added to the contract later, which are not part of the team's work. Let's suppose that you can add, for example, travel expenses or some costs related to software licenses. You can add that to your contracts and track that here, and this will be part of your margins. So you can instantly identify which is the best contract, which is the contract that is more profitable for you in a couple of clicks. So that's the whole idea. So you can control all the things, not only the contracts, not only the work logs and how the services are being consumed, but also how each one of those contracts is being considered for being a profitable contract or not. So everything can be tracked here.
No, that's awesome, because you want to be able to compare those projects and work on what you're doing well. No, that's really good, Eduardo.
Yeah, we also have, as I said, you have other things like the timesheets. And one thing that is very interesting is that we are not tied to the Jira project structure. So when you install the app, you don't necessarily need to be inside a certain project. The app does not work with projects. So in a single contract, you can log time and create issues for a single contract in different Jira projects, and all those projects will be tracked here. If you want, for example, to give different access to different teams or different departments. For example, let's suppose you have two different departments working with this app, and you do not like to have one department seeing the app from another. That's possible. Even if you do not have projects to separate the contracts, you can create views that we call views. And these views work like filters. So when you create your contracts, you select a view, and only the views that you have created, and only the views that you are participating of as an user, these are the ones that you see. I mean, if you create your views, the system will show you here in the contract list only the contracts related to the views that you have access to. So the other teams, other departments which are not in that view will not see the same contracts that you are seeing. And this is important for having many different areas inside the company working with the same app. Right? For example, you can select the view here, finance team view. Only the contracts for that view will be displayed in the list. And also, if you do not have access to that finance view, you will not see any one of those contracts, right? If you do not select any view for a contract, you can create a contract without any view. So everybody will be able to see that contract. But when you create a contract and you came here and select a view for that contract, like that one, and only people which have access to that view will be able to see the contract. So it's very, I would say, safe to work with different areas as well.
Yeah, I guess that's important to have the option for privacy. It's interesting these days with a lot more information being shared across the organization, because it just gets everyone on the same page as to what's going well, what's not going well, how things interact, because we're one team. So yeah, it's an interesting scenario. All right, well, thanks very much, Eduardo. Certainly looks very comprehensive, and I know, many organizations have these kind of challenges where they're using separate tools outside of the Atlassian ecosystem, and it just makes it frustrating for everyone when we're trying to track time, manage budgets, and manage our clients' expectations and make sure everything happens in a very timely.
Yeah, not only that, sometimes you have to manage different licenses and have separate teams to work with different apps, right? So I think that, for example, working with consulting services for a long time, we noticed that there's a big pain point when you have many different apps for different functionalities, because sometimes, most of the times, in fact, these apps are from different vendors, and they do not talk to each other.
They don't integrate. Yeah, that's the beauty of the Atlassian world and the marketplace, is we can have all the functionality living under one roof in an integrated fashion, which creates all the possibilities. And suddenly we have all these aha moments about, oh, we can finally manage this effectively. We're finally connected to the production teams. And that's what I really see. It's all the teams connecting with each other, because previously one team or set of teams are working one app, and other teams working another app, and they just can't see. So yeah, it's good for the clarity. which is good
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the business objectives.
that's the intention. I mean, we try to make the things easier for the user. I mean, most part of the functionalities we have a very close conversations with our customers, and many of those features that we went through today were suggested by our customers, right? Because we listen to them, and you are always trying to create different other solutions for them to resolve their daily questions related to managing services, right? So that was the idea when we tried to put everything connected in a single app. I mean, you have all the reports, the work logs, the resources like customers, accounts, timesheet management, cost tracking. You don't need a lot of apps for doing that, and we're always improving the app as well. I mean, whenever we have different customers coming to us asking for new things, sometimes the suggestions are very good. We try to accommodate that in our backlog to provide them with that solutions to make their lives easier. That's the whole idea.
And yeah, it's an amazing part of, again, the Atlassian ecosystem. It's about all these applications being continually developed using really good agile practices and what do they call it? Customer-centric design, or and yeah, they just get better and better and more comprehensive. So, all right. So thanks very much, Eduardo, for joining us today and showing us your stuff. And yeah, I'll just encourage anybody, if they've got any questions, you can reach out to Design Industries, or feel free to reach out to Eduardo, MindPro. But yeah, if you're managing contracts, this is going to be
you can find me here by this contact, by email if you want. And also you can visit our pages in Atlassian Marketplace. We have all the apps there. You just you can visit us and make some questions through our support as well if you need.
And try it for free. You saw it there. All right. Thanks very much for joining us, everybody around the world. And yeah, please join us next time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.